The students all begin to follow you out of the dining hall towards the trial room. Everyone find a seat, Monokuma says. The class trial begins with Monokuma as the judge, and he says if you vote for the murderer, then they will be executed. If you pick the wrong person, everyone besides the murderer will be executed and the murderer will graduate. Wait a second, Mason says. Why are we just hearing about this now? I thought everyone knew the rules, Mason, Monokuma says in an annoyed tone. Anyway, let's begin. I call upon the defendant, Becca, to come forward and explain yourself. Lance says, why Becca? We all know that Mark was Rex's killer. Yeah, Becca killed Red, Mason says. Becca looks at the floor, and then back up at everyone. I didn't kill Red. Yes you did, Lance says. No, Becca says. I swear I didn't. It was an accident. You say what motive does Becca have to kill Red? She didn't even know him prior to coming to the academy. What's that supposed to mean? Becca asks. It means you had never met Ref before, so you wouldn't have had a motive to kill him, you say. Yes I did. I went on a date with him. You went on a date with Red. Mason says in disbelief. You say how did he act on your date ? He was a perfect gentleman, Becca says. We went to the movies, and then we had dinner at a fancy restaurant. Wait, you say. How long did this date last? It was only one day, Becca says. That's not a real date. Mason says. I beg to differ. Lance says, a real gentleman. Nice try, Becca. The ref I know would never act like that. I'm telling the truth. Becca says. You expect us to believe that Ref, of all people, took you out on a date? You say. That's ridiculous. He was a love 'em and leave 'em type. Exactly, Lance says. He wouldn't have even bothered with a girl like you. Caroline says, we can argue all we want about Becca's motive, but without evidence, it's pointless. We should focus on what little evidence we have first. Well, I think the fact that Becca went on a date with Red is enough to prove she killed him, you say. I didn't kill him. Becca says. Maybe you sedated him longer then, Mason says. Shut up. Becca says, as she begins to tear up. That's enough, Hanama says, pounding his seat. How about we look at the facts before accusing innocence? Innocent until proven guilty after all. Fine, you say. You all look at the facts. Red was stabbed repeatedly by something and stuffed in a washing machine. He was found out in the morning by Amanda. So, anyone could have stabbed him? Mona asks. That's not likely, Hanama says. The killer would have had to been in the same area as Red at the time. The washer room is quite small and has limited access hours. So, we can narrow down the time of death. You ask. I suppose, Hanama says. Hold up, Ruby says. There's a white time frame from the first day of class to this morning when Red was unaccounted for. He could have died at any point at any of those times. That's a little dark, Becca says. I'm just saying what we got to work with, Ruby says. So, who had the most to gain? Mason asks. Anyone in the washer room could have gotten the chance to kill Red, Hanama says. Everyone had access to the room. I had a grudge against him, Kyle says. He was a legmeth who insulted my work. I wanted to kill him, but I didn't. What about Amanda? Ruby asks. She found the body, and she's the one who reported it. She's a bit of an airhead, Becca says. I don't think she has it in her to kill. She could have easily done it, then made up the story, Ashley says. That's a little cynical, Greg says. What about you? Ruby asks Kyle. You were pretty pissed at Ref for insulting your work. I already said I didn't kill him, Kyle says. Could have been a crime of passion, Ruby says. I still say we should look at the evidence first, Hanama says. Well, let's do that then, Mason says. You all examine the pieces of evidence. The main piece of evidence is the knife that was used to kill Ref. It has a long black handle, with a short, silver blade. This is a switchblade, Kyle says. It's illegal to own one of these. We can add illegal possession of a switchblade to the list of charges when we arrest the killer. So, we're looking for someone who illegally owns a switchblade. Ruby asks. It's not just the switchblade that's illegal, Hanama says. It's also the way it was used. What do you mean? Becca asks. Hanama shows you all a picture of Ref's stab wounds. The killer stabbed Red multiple times in the chest and neck. The wounds are concentrated in those areas. It's pretty clear that the killer was really angry at Ref and wanted to make sure he was dead. So, we're looking for someone with a lot of anger issues, Ruby says. Mona says Hariyama, you were attacked by Ref and Lens earlier, right? Yeah, why? Can you tell us what happened earlier? Sure, Hanama says. I was walking to my dorm when I passed the two of them. They were arguing with each other, I think about the football game that was on. Lens bumped into me, and I accidentally dropped my music player. It broke, and they both started getting aggressive. What happened next? You ask. Lens punched me in the face, knocking me to the floor. Red then grabbed my music player and threw it against the wall, breaking it. I tried to get up, but Lens smashed my head against the floor. Did you go to the hospital? Becca asks. You say I took Hayama to the nurse's office to take care of his head and his knee. Yeah, I went to the nurse's office, Hayama says. My knee was injured from when Lens pushed me to the floor, and my head was hurting from when Lens smashed it against the floor. Did you see anyone else when this happened? You ask. No, but I did hear someone go running past. They didn't even stop to help. That was probably me, Becca says. I heard a lot of noise, so I went to go check it out. When I got there, everyone was already gone. So, we have no lads, Caroline says. What about Ref's phone? You ask. We could try and use that to find out who killed him. Ref's phone? Caroline says, do any of us have Ref's phone? I do, Greg says, raising his hand. I found it after I called 911. Can I see the phone? Greg nods and passes you that phone. You examine it. We could try calling the last number and see who it is, Ruby says. You check the phone and the phone is password protected and now you know the number. We could try and guess the password, Becca says. It could be his birthday, Ruby says. No, it couldn't, Becca says. It would be too obvious. Well then, it's not his birthday, Ruby says. How do you know his birthday? Becca asks. You say I don't think Ref's phone will help us. I don't think Ref's phone will help us, you say. Why not? Ruby asks. Because if we could guess the password so easily, then the killer could have just done that. The killer wouldn't have needed to kill her if they could just get into his phone. Oh, right, Ruby says. Hayama says, damn you Lens, you should have stopped Ref from attacking me. Hayama, I wasn't there. I didn't even know you were being attacked until after it had happened. What? I was in my dorm room the whole time, Hayama says. I didn't leave at all. Are you sure? You ask. Yeah, I'm positive, Hayama says. You say no you weren't, Hayama. I saw you outside of your door when you were attacked. What? Hayama asks. I saw you being attacked, you say. I was in the hallway, and I saw you being attacked by someone. When was this? Hayama asks. You say it was on the first day of school when Hayama was attacked by Lens and Red and I helped him to the nurse's office to get better. You're lying, Hayama says. I was attacked on the first night of school. After I had gone to sleep, someone entered my room and tried to kill me. No, that wasn't what happened, you say. Yes it was, Hayama says. I remember it perfectly. Mason says Hayama's right and I saw someone walk into his room before I went to sleep that night. You're both wrong, you say. Look, I don't have time for this. We need to find the killer, Mason says. We could split it up and search the campus, Becca suggests. No, that would be too dangerous if we were to get attacked, Ruby says. Caroline says all 15 of us are here so there's no need for us to search the school. We could watch the tapes from the security cameras, Hayama says. There's one in front of the school and another in the gym. We don't have time to watch all the tapes from both cameras, Ruby says. We need to split up into groups. I'll go with Hayama and search the school. Minikumer says no leaving the trial while the trial is in session. Then let us watch the tapes, Hayama says. No can do, kiddo. If you want to see them, you need to vote for it. What? Why do we have to vote? Mason asks. That's the rules, Minikumer says. You all vote to see the tapes. Minikumer pulls a lever and a tray comes out of the machine. On it, there are two small electronic devices with red buttons on them. These are called remotes, or as I like to call them, deadly dice. Minikumer holds one of the devices in his paw and presses a button. Greg, who was holding the other remote, felt an explosion in his hand as the remote exploded and the remote in Minikumer's hand exploded too. You've got to be kidding me, Becca says. No, I would never kid about something like this. That was just the first round of dismissers. Minikumer says. This is the second round. Everyone choose one of the remotes and we'll get started. All of the remotes exploded as Minikumer blew them up once more. That was just round one. Let's start the second round. Minikumer presses a button on a nearby laptop and an image of a knife is projected onto the screen. This is a knife. A very sharp knife. Nobody would miss it if you were to take it with you. Who would like to take the knife? Ashley takes the knife and it explodes in her hand along with the laptop. That was just the first round. Let's start the second. Minikumer presses a button on a nearby laptop, and an image of a road is projected onto the screen. This is a road. A very sturdy road. It could be useful if you were ever lost at sea, or in this case, the school gym. You say stop trying to distract us, we need to find Rev's killer. No, I would never kid about something like this. That was the first round of dismissers. Humor says. This is the second round. Everyone choose one of the remotus and we'll get started. All of the remotus exploded as Humor blew them up once more. The students get behind the trial desks and resume the trial. The trial is not over yet, you say. We know, Mason says. We just need to find the right person to blame. Well, let's get on with it then, you say. Mason tells everyone to quiet down as he begins to address the crowd. Mason says, I need to use the bathroom. That's all I need to hear, you say. I'm serious. If we don't get out of here soon, I'm going to piss myself. I'll take you to the bathroom, Ruby says. Come on, I'll take you right now. You nod at Ruby and follow Mason to the bathroom. You quickly return to find Hariyama talking to the remaining students about the details of Ref's murder. So, Ref was killed by many stab wounds to his torso. Kyle says. Correct, Hanama says. And there's no evidence of any other person being involved. Then that must mean it was an inside job, you say. It could have been an accident, Hanama says. You think to yourself, and you remember stabbing Ref when you fought with him on the first day of school. It was an accident, you say. How can you be sure? Becca asks. Because I accidentally stabbed Ref during our fight. You fought with Ref. How was that an accident? If you clearly stabbed Ref, then you intentionally murdered him, said Langs. I didn't mean to kill him. I just wanted to knock him out, you say. So, you admit to the killing. I mean, Hayama, I think we should listen to what Mark has to say, Mason says. It could be important. Yeah, I think so too, Hanama says. Tell us what happened, Mark. You explain the situation to the group, and they all look shocked. So, you're saying that you were just defending yourself against Ref? Hanama asks. Yes, you say. Lance says, we have our killer then, let's vote him out. No, we need to investigate further, Hanama says. If we just start voting people out then we won't solve this. Well, what do you propose we do? Becca asks. We continue the investigation, Hanama says. I think it's pretty obvious that we should start with Mason. What? Why him? Greg says. He was the one who brought up the fact that Ref was murdered during the first place, Hanama says. Plus, he has the most tellings if this goes to trial. What are you on about? Says Mona. If this goes to trial, then the truth that he's been breaking the rules will come out. He's not a registered student at this school. He's not even a student at all. He's a professional hacker who was hired to hack into the system. What? That's bullshit. Caroline says even if that's true, it doesn't prove that Mason was the killer, thus it's irrelevant to this trial. I disagree, Hanama says. Mason had the most to lose from Ref's death, so he killed him. He knew that if Ref told us he found out about the hacking, then we'd all be in danger of being arrested. He needed to silence him. Caroline says that proves nothing. It's meaningless conjecture. We need to look at the hard evidence to prove anyone's guilt. I agree, you say. We should look through the dorms of the students to see if we can find any evidence that points to a killer. That's a good idea, Hanama says. I'll go search someone's room. Who has a room next to Ref? You ask. I do, Caroline says. Hold up, Kyle says. Mark already searched Ref's room. Tell them what you found. You explain to the group what you found in Ref's room. That's pretty damning, Lance says. What about Vaughn? Hanama asks. He was the only other person who could have killed Ref, besides you, and that would point to him as the killer. Vaughn looks up from his phone and says, Dude, I was with Mona on the first day of school. I couldn't have anything to do with the killing. You were with me. Mona asks. Yeah, you don't remember. We went to the movies. It was that new romantic comedy that just came out. Oh, I just assumed you were off whacking Ref by yourself, she says. I mean, that's what you do, right? Caroline says stop pointing fingers at people, Hayama. We need to look at hard proof first. Let's look at the nurse's office where evidence was found. You say I found a bloodstain in the nurse's office where Ref must have been. I found a box cutter with dry blood on it, Caroline says. I found a used band-aid in the garbage can, Kyle says. Alright, let's review what we have, Greg says. We have 3 pieces of hard evidence and 1 piece of conjecture. He puts 3 pieces of paper on the board saying Hayama, Caroline and Mark. He puts Ref's bloodstain under Mark's name, box cutter under Caroline's name, and Hayama's conjecture under Hayama's name. Ruby and Mason return to the trial room. Sorry we're late. We were busy, Ruby says. Mason nods. Let's get on with it, then. Alright, Hanama says. Let's review what we have. We have 3 pieces of hard evidence and 1 piece of conjecture. He puts 3 pieces of paper on the board saying Hayama, Caroline and Mark. You say there was a note addressed to Hayama that me and Caroline found in the library. Oh, yeah, Hanama says. I remember that. It was in my locker. Hanama picks up the note and reads it to himself. It says to go to the girls' bathroom on the first floor. Hanama reads, "Why would someone send you there?" Ruby asks, "Beats me." Hanama shrugs, "Let's go check it out." Kyle says, "I'll bring a note in case it's important." "It's unnecessary. Me and Mark checked it out earlier and nothing came of it." "The killer would have disposed of any evidence by now," says Caroline. "You can't know that." Kyle says, "I agree with Kyle." Ruby says, "We should go check it out." "Fine." Hanama says, "Let's go." Mona says, "Shouldn't we figure out who wrote that note first?" "It's probably Monokuma." Kyle says, "He's been pretty active since this whole thing started." Ashley says it's probably Peter. He was alone for the first day, and he's been awfully quiet this whole time. You say it makes sense. He's been very quiet and he's been staring at Hariyama since we found the body. "Well, I think it's obvious that it's Hariyama." Mason says, "Why would I write a note telling myself to go to the bathroom?" Hanama asks, "I don't know. You tell me." Mason replies, "Guys, we can figure this out later." Ruby says, "Let's just go check out the bathroom." Monokuma says, "No more leaving the trial room until the verdict is decided." "I'm not leaving." Kyle says, "I'll just use my walkie-talkie." "You and I both know that's against the rules." Monokuma says, "Screw the rules. It's important." "Don't worry, I'll allow it this time." Monokuma says. Monokuma shoots Kyle's walkie-talkie and it blows up in his hand. "You see what happens when you break the rules." Monokuma asks, "Now, stop wasting time and decide who the murderer is." The group begins arguing again. Peter says we still haven't found the box with the incriminating evidence in it yet. "We can do that after the trial." Mason says, "No, we need to find it now." Peter says, "If we don't, I'm not going through with the trial." "I think we should just go through with the trial." "You say it's not important. We know what's in there already." "I agree that it's not important." Peter says, "But we should still find it now that we know its location." "What difference does it make?" you ask. "We already know what's in there." "It could be something that helps the killer." Mason says, "Peter's right. Let's go find it." Monokuma says no leaving the trial room under any circumstances and finding any evidence is not an excuse. "I think we should just go through with the trial." you say. "Yeah, I agree." Ruby says, "We know what's in the box. We don't need to waste time looking for it. If you want to look for it after the trial, that's your own business." Mason says. Beckett pulls out a bloody book saying "A History of Hope's Peak Academy." "What's that?" you ask. "It's a book from the laundry room." Becca says, "I found it in a secret compartment behind some shelves." "That seems really out of place, doesn't it?" Kyle says, "Why would there be a book about Hope's Peak in there?" "I don't know." You say maybe it was used to attack Ref. "Maybe," Kyle says. "But it's really heavy. I don't think the killer could have lifted it." "Maybe the killer used it to hit him with, and then put it back." you say. "That makes sense." Kyle says, "Let's just use it as evidence." Becca says. Monokuma says, "Hey, where did you get that from?" and snatches the book from Becca's hands. "I've been looking for this." "What's the big deal?" you ask. "This book has very important information about the school that I was never able to find online or in any other book." Monokuma says, "Now, I'm going to have to punish you for taking it." "What? You just said it was important." Becca says, "Yeah, but it's also very valuable. I can't just give away important and valuable things for free. That's how I get money." "What do you mean?" "I'm going to have to punish you all by making your trials even more deadly." "What does the book have to do with the trials?" you ask. "I'm going to add in a new rule." Monokuma says, "The more of you that vote guilty, the quicker you'll be able to leave." "That doesn't make any sense." Becca says. "You say you mean that anyone who doesn't vote for the killer dies?" "Exactly." Monokuma says. "If you don't vote for the killer, you die. If you all vote for the killer, only the killer dies." "That's ridiculous." Peter says. "Why would we kill anyone?" "Oh, I don't know." Monokuma says. "Motive, perhaps. If you're all guilty, then only one of you is going to live. Why not the killer?" "That's a load of bull." Peter says. "We're not voting for someone to die." "Pretty sure we are," says Hariyama. "We're not voting at all." Mason says. "It's a stupid idea. You'd be killing someone," you say. "That's not something to take lightly." "I agree." Peter says. "We shouldn't be taking part in this." "Sorry, but you all have to vote or you all die," says Monokuma. "If you don't vote, that'll be taking part in the trial. You either all vote for the culprit, or all of you get punished. That's the rule." "That's messed up," Becca says. "If you don't vote, we'll all get punished?" asks Ashley. "What do you mean?" "I'll think of a particularly nasty punishment for you all," Monokuma says. "You don't want to see what I have in store. So, are you all ready to vote?" "This is stupid," Mason says. "But, I guess I'm voting for Kyle." I agree, Becca says. Me too. Caroline says, what are you all doing? We need to properly look at the evidence before we can convict anyone. I'm not voting yet, Hanoma says. I need to look at the evidence first. Me too, Peter says. Manicumor says you better find the killer soon because I'm getting bored of this trial. You all examine the evidence. There's a lot to go through, but eventually you finish writing everything. Well, Hanoma asks, who is it? You say the killer is whoever sent the note that Hariyama was meant to receive in the library. I agree, Hanoma says. The note was addressed to me. It must have been someone who wanted me out of the way. Caroline says, I was immediately attacked when I went in, and when Mark came in, my attacker fled. That's right, you say. So, the question is, who would want to get rid of Hariyama? I don't know, Hanoma says. I can't think of anyone who would want to kill me. You must have enemies, you say. I'm a bit of a loner, Hanoma says. I don't have too many friends. What about rivals? You ask. Anyone who wanted to outdo you. I compete in a lot of esports matches, Hanoma says. You say what are everyone's ultimate talents? Someone could have come into contact with Hariyama. Red was a master of parkour, Hanoma says. I'm a professional gamer, Lance says. I'm the best singer in my class, Becca says. I'm the fastest runner in my class, Ashley says. I'm a professional poker player, Mason says. I'm an amateur writer. You say so you're only an amateur writer. What are you the best at other than writing? I'm the best at being a creepy stalker, Kyle says. Creepy stalker. You ask. That's right, Kyle says. I spend all my time in the library, reading other people's diaries and love letters. I know all the juicy secrets about everyone. That's a bit weird. I agree, Hanoma says. But Kyle is a nice guy. I can't imagine him killing anyone. I'm not saying he did it, you say. I'm just asking if there's anyone who would have a reason to kill Reth. You say what are everyone else's ultimate talents? We know mine, Reth, Lenz, Becca, Ashley, Mason, and Kyle's. I'm a great thief, Vaughn says. I'm a master of flirting, Greg says. I'm a great leader, Hanoma says. I'm the best at telling when people are lying, Ruby says. I'm a professional gambler, Peter says. I'm a great at gymnastics, Mona says. I'm a great at finding things, Amanda says. I'm a professional computer hacker, Caroline says. You say Mason says anyone here knows who Ref was? I do, Vaughn says. What do you know about him? You ask. Not much, Vaughn says. I've seen him around campus a few times, but we've never really spoken. He was in my creative writing class, Hanoma says. Ruby says Lenz knows him. He and Ref attacked Hariyama on the first day. What? You ask. Shut. That's right, Lenz says. I remember now. Hanoma was wearing a $300 pair of sunglasses I really liked. Ref and I beat him up and stole them. You're joking, Hanoma says, looking stunned. Oh, is that not true? Lenz asks. I could have sworn that's what happened. You're lying, Hanoma says. I'm not, Lenz says. But if it helps, I didn't really want to steal them. I was just going along with Red. You're a monster, Hanoma says. Amanda says calm down, Hariyama. How can you say that? Hanoma says. He just admitted to stealing my sunglasses. It was a joke, you say. Lenz is joking, right? What? No. Lenz says. Why would I joke about something like that? I'm not a comedian. You stole them, Hanoma says. You say once the trial is over, you better give them back to Hariyama, Lenz. I will, Lenz says. Once the trial is over. Alright, that's enough, you say. Let's solve Ref's murder first. Caroline says the box was taken away from us during our investigation. The killer, whoever took the box, must have been someone unaccounted for. We all went our separate ways, you say. Most of us were in the dining hall, but we don't know where the box was after that. I saw Hariyama running away from the box, Vaughn says. He could have taken it. I was running away from the box. Hanoma asks. You say someone left us a note to come to the library, and when we came, that's when the box was stolen. Someone left us a note to come to the library, and when we came, that's when the box was stolen, you say. Who was the last person to leave the dining hall? You ask. I was, Vaughn says. I had to go to the bathroom. I went back to my room, Ruby says. I went back to my room too, Amanda says. I was in my room the entire time, Hanoma says. I went back to my room as well, Peter says. I went back to my room too, Vaughn says. You say there was a bloodstain, a metal tip inside the box. The tip could have come from Hariyama's arrow, Lenz says. It looks similar to the one he was using. I didn't put my arrow in the box, Hanoma says. I don't see how it's possible that it could be mine. Do you have an alibi, Hayama? You ask. You say, can anyone vouch for Hayama? We found him in the gym with everyone else after my group found the box. I can, Vaughn says. I was speaking to him in the gym before we all left. Alright, that settles it then, you say. Hayama's arrow couldn't have been used to kill Red. Can I go now? Hayama asks. Kyle says not yet, we still need to clarify the note that we found in the box. What about it? You ask. I think that the note is telling the truth, Becca says. I was in the library, but I liked to go to the bathroom. The only person who could have seen me is Vaughn, since he was sitting opposite the library. So you're saying I killed Red? Vaughn says. You say, hold on, the note says I know all about what happened. I know you killed her. So? Vaughn asks. So, it seems to directly be accusing someone of killing Red, you say. It doesn't seem to be a general accusation. I agree, Kyle says. The note is pretty specific in who it's accusing. Well, I definitely didn't kill Red, Vaughn says. You say, who wrote this note and to whom was it written? I don't know, Mason says. It was in the box when I found it. I think it's pretty obvious that Becca wrote the note, Kyle says. What? That's insane, Becca says. Why would I kill Red? We were friends. You're saying you didn't write the note. Caroline says, who stole the box while all of us were in the library? We were following an anonymous tip when the lights went out. They turned back on and Ashley ran in to tell us the box vanished. I didn't even notice the box was gone. Becca says, that's because you were in the bathroom. Kyle says, you wrote the note to frame Vaughn, didn't you? I told you I didn't write the note. Becca exclaims, so you're saying I stole the box and killed Red? Vaughn says, I don't know why you would kill Red, but you stole the box. Kyle says, why would I steal my own box? Vaughn asks, I don't know, you're the killer. Keep up, Kyle says. This is stupid, Becca says. Hanama says, shut up. Whoever wrote the note is suspicious, but until we have proof, we need to stop accusing people. I agree, Mason says. Vaughn says, I didn't kill Red, I swear. I found the box and the note just like you guys. You stare at Becca as she looks around nervously. You say, why is everyone accusing Becca of being the killer? She's obviously innocent. I agree, Hanama says. The note was a bit too vague to incriminate anyone. It could have been written by anyone. I think the note was pretty specific, Kyle says. It was pretty vague, Hanama says. It didn't even have a signature. You say, we're out of leads again. We're out of leads again, you say. So, what do we do now? Becca asks. I say we keep going, Hanama says. We don't have much of a choice. What about the police? Becca asks. The police? Why would we call them? Mason asks. Manicure says the police are dead, you stupid idiots. What? You ask. We already know this, says Greg. We saw the video. What video? Manicure clicks a button, and a video begins to play on the TV. It shows the police officers from the video that was shown to you earlier. They're all standing around, with blood dripping down their faces from their eyes and noses. Lance says, I recognize those wounds. They seem like wounds Red would inflict. That's because they are, Manicure says. Red was a very angry boy, and he lashed out at the first people he could find. The police officers who arrested him for breaking into that store. He was such a psycho that he didn't even remember doing it. Then how do you know he did it? Becca asks. Because I was the one who broke into the store and Red was framed. Lance says. I thought you didn't like being called a thief. Kyle says. I don't. I prefer Catalyst. Catalyst. I'm a person who causes change. I'm not a thief because I don't intend on keeping the things I take. I'm an artist. You're a kleptomaniac, Kyle says. I prefer kleptomaniac. So, what happened to the police officers? You ask. Red killed them. I told him not to, but he just, Lens begins to tear up. He just wouldn't listen. So, Red's dead? Becca asks. Yes. After he killed the police officers, he went to go kill someone, and he didn't succeed. He escaped and the police tried to kill him, but he managed to escape again. Amanda asks, did you kill Red, Lens? No. I would never kill Red. He was my best friend. Then who did? You look at all the evidence and see something you never noticed before. You look at all the evidence and see something you never noticed before. Ladies and gentlemen, I think I found something. What is it? Hanama asks. The knight that killed Red was a switchblade, and the only person we know who has a switchblade is you, pointed Lens. Caroline says we found that the knight that killed Red was yours, Mark, not Lens's. I didn't kill Red. You're going to have to do better than that, you lying bastard. I'm not lying. I didn't kill Red. Stop calling him a bastard. Lens says. He's my best friend. Lies. Stop calling me a liar. Hanama says you know somebody was planning to kill me in the girls' bathroom. They posted a note in the library trying to lure me there and kill me. I didn't do that. Lance says, yes you did, you lying scumbucket. I found the note in the library and it had your fingerprint on it. Kyle says, so, I went to the library. Why wouldn't my fingerprint be on it? Ashley says Lens could have sent him to finish off Hariyama since he failed to kill him on the first day. I didn't do that. Then why did you try to kill Hariyama? I wanted to scare him. I'm not denying that, but I didn't try to kill him. Why would you want to scare him? He was being a jerk. He insulted my sister and I couldn't stand him anymore. What did he do to your sister? He was having a relationship with her. In secret. She's only 14. Wait, who is your sister? You ask. Clara. You gasp. The girl you had a crush on is the sister of the boy who tried to kill Hariyama. I didn't know, you say. It's okay. She never mentioned it, Lance says. She probably wanted to forget. Forget what? The past. Our parents. Everything. What happened to your parents? They died in a car crash 2 years ago. I was 14 and Clara was 12. We were placed in different foster homes, and we lost contact. I'm sorry to hear that, you say. Hanama says you're a grave liar, Lens. Everything you said is wrong. Kyle, you said the note had Lens's fingerprint on it. How could he have put his fingerprint on it if he was wearing gloves? I don't know. Maybe he took the gloves off to put the note there. Ashley says how does that make any sense? It doesn't, Hanama says. I don't need to explain myself to the likes of you. Guys, calm down, you say. You're not my boss. Lens shouts. I'll say what I want. I'm not afraid of you.